Hey y'all, this is Sarah. As you can see, I've got a lot going on my desk. This is going to be kind of a series of videos that I'm doing for any level, just some ideas. I want to get some of my scraps used up. Obviously, I have a whole lot of foam core scraps. This idea is kind of geared towards those of you without electric cutting machines. I want to show you guys a whole bunch of ideas for signs, lettering, tier tray pieces, temporary decor, all of that. Something that you can do quick for seasonal. I want to jump in and get started, tell you what I've got going on, and try to get as many going as I possibly can. So first things first, obviously, I've got a big stack of foam core scraps. If you don't know what foam core is, foam core, this is Readi-board brand foam board. This is what you find in your office supply, school supply section of retailers like Dollar General, Dollar Tree, Walmart, any of those places. You find it next to regular poster board. I like this brand because it has this papery like surface. These are all scraps and different size cuts left over from other pieces. I've got some scraps here of my faux wood look that I do plan on using. If you're interested in the paint tutorials for these, they're their own videos on this channel because there's a lot of different wood tone options, a lot of different finish options. So those are able to go into a lot more detail, but I do have a lot of those. Next thing, I have a bunch of alpha stickers. These are Dollar Tree's poster board stickers. They're right next to the foam core and the poster boards. I like these. They're a really good size. I've also got some of the Crafter Square rub-on transfers in a couple of different fonts that they offer at Dollar Tree. I've got a set of the Dollar Tree furniture markers here. I'm going to be using the black. Like I said, I'm going to start from simple as possible and then go into more techniques, more ideas. But this first one is so super simple. I also will be using some folk art enamels in black, or licorice as they call it. You could use any black paint, but I prefer using this for what I'm doing because it actually does have a shine to it. I've got a Dollar Tree makeup wedge sponge, and just to be extra, I have a pack of the Crafter Square washi tape that has the thin black in there that I want to show you as an option. So that's everything I've gathered today to get started and show you some of these ideas. I'm going to start with just picking one of the smaller pieces of scrap, and let's get started. Okay, for sign number one, this is what I've got pulled out. I've got a little bit of my wax paper so that I can move my lettering around. I've got just this probably 3" by maybe 7" piece of foam core scrap. I've got my markers. This is the font I'm using for this. The reason that I choose wax paper is you can stick down your letters, kind of get them aligned, move them around on your piece, and really be able to pull them back up super easy. Afterwards, you can reuse this over and over. So pick out whatever your phrase is going to be, get it stuck down, and your next step is going to be find your alignment, how you want to put your lettering down. For this one, I'm just going to come in a little bit from the bottom, mark this off. I've already looked to see where my letters kind of fit. I wanted to make sure that they have the same roughly amount of space from top to bottom. So I'm pretty happy with where I've marked mine. My next step, this is a short word. I don't even need my ruler here to help me with that. But I am going to find my halfway mark and mark that just a little bit so that I can center my letters along my line. And you can see these just peel right off this wax paper. And I'm just gonna kind of get these in place. G is always a struggle for me since it has a curved bottom there. There we go. You're going to continue to lay all your letters down. Once your letters are in place, you want to just come in and erase any marks you may have made. I like this Dollar Tree adhesive eraser. It works really well on foam core, not with just pencil marks, but you can sometimes get fingerprint smudges and even paint smudges occasionally. You can rub off with this thing and not leave any residue behind. So here's where we're at. I'm going to move this out of the way. In comes our black furniture marker. Now, I don't suggest this on everything, and you guys know I typically paint my edges. However, this is a quick fix little sign, and we're going to get more complex as we go. So I'm taking this marker, and I'm going down that foam edge. And the reason I say that I don't typically recommend this marker for everything foam core is because it bleeds. As soon as it hits that paper edge, the ink in this is going to bleed. But the reason I'm doing this is so that it does bleed. And you can use that to help guide you on this look. So I'm just going to do all of those edges. Now, you can see right there already that it has started to bleed. So I'm going to use that to help guide me to some random places to come in and flick some marks. So I'm flicking this way. I'm going to come down here, do it like a heartbeat monitor. If you guys can see that. Do a couple more flicks. Nothing natural, just kind of unevenness. But I'm looking in a lot of places where it bled to help keep me from just completely overdoing it. It just kind of helps give me an idea of some good spots to insert this look. Hit those corners a little bit. I'm going to slide down that top a little bit more. Give it a moment to see if it does any bleeding there. And there we go. Now, the one other thing that I might like to try is I'm going to use this kind of wedge of this marker to work for me and make some chippy looking little areas. If you've got some smudges or pencil marks that didn't turn out real great on your little piece, this might be a nice way to hide them. There you go. You can see, super cute, super lightweight. Easy peasy filler piece, even if you're just using it to spruce up for a party, a certain holiday. This is such a fun, simple way to do it. It was nothing more than the stickers and a little bit of effort. And to dress it up some, you can always come in with just a little bit of the washi tape. You can see I added it down to the bottom of this one. I've got a couple different options here. These are super cute. You can use some poster tack. If you've got a shelf unit somewhere and you want something up against the back of that shelf unit to bring a little height, these you can use just a little bit of some kind of poster tack, something to this degree. Dollar Tree has this version. This is the Scotch version. But just pop a little on the back of these and you can stick it on the back of a shelf or a built-in and bring a little height up. Super lightweight in that regard. Another idea for them is Dollar Tree has these little magnet buttons. You can pop some hot glue on there, put it on the back. These would be super cute on your refrigerator. And like I said, nothing more than Dollar Tree stickers and a little bit of imagination. I love the weight of these because you can pop them anywhere so easily. I'm going to continue on with this concept. We're going to go even further down this sign making rabbit hole. I love having these different pieces available to me to just pop in to a look and kind of stash away when I don't want it. And that's kind of where this idea comes from. And you're gonna probably be sick of word signs, but that's where this is geared towards. Even if you only find one word sign that you like out of this, it still brought you some ideas. I am ready to jump into the next one. This is what I've got out. I've got my wax paper again so I can lay my letters down. I've got my enamel paint this time, and like I said, the reason I'm choosing this one is because it does actually have a bit of a sheen to it. I have my Dollar Tree makeup wedge sponge. I've got this particular Dollar Tree poster sticker font that I'm using, and I have another section scrap of foam core. This one is roughly around 12 by 20, but I do think that I'm going to end up trimming it down to more about 12 by 16. Everything else I've been trying to just use as they are, but this one I do think I will likely trim just a little bit. So I did decide that I want to go ahead and cut mine down, and mine's going to end up being a 12 by 15 piece. I've got my ruler in place. I wanted to show you really quick for those still having some struggles with cutting. If you notice, I have kind of these blue dots here on my ruler. That is just some of the poster tack or mounting putty, whatever you want to call that, stuck to the bottom side of my ruler so that I don't have as much sliding and slippage. I do this on all of my big cutting rulers. I'm just going to come in and trim this down. And really, this is mostly about using pieces that I already have. This gives me another piece to throw in my idea collection now. And I've got my size. As you can see, I've already picked out my phrase or my words. This is something... It's a kind of a dupe of something I saw on Pinterest. So these are the letters, the wording that I'm going to use out of this Dollar Tree pack of stickers. I'm just going to kind of look here, eyeball where I want it. This is the great thing about the wax paper. And it looks like about 2 3/4 maybe at the scale that I'm at, keeping everything right about where I'm at. I'm okay with that. I'm going to take a pencil and lightly draw my first line. I'm going to get up here and kind of get alignment where this one is going to be. And I'm going to erase these with the same adhesive eraser that I've been showing you guys. I'm telling you, that thing is really awesome as far as cleaning up your mess with foam core. So I'm just going to come up here and kind of mark from the top down at that same spot, and that'll be where my alignment is for there. My next step is just going to find my center point somewhere on here, which would be about 7.5. That just kind of gives me a little bit of evenness. I'm not dead set on using that. I want to keep this fairly simple, but I do tend to go a little crooked standing up doing this. So I'm going to see where my center letters are. That's where I'm going to start on every one of these. I'm going to want to start right on that center letter and build out from there. That's just a simple trick on getting some evenness. And I won't sit and make you watch me put every one of these letters down. But I am kind of showing you where I will end up building from. So once I have those in place, everything else should space out evenly from all the other directions. So that's what I'm going to continue to do. And I think somehow I measured that slightly off. Maybe not. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to lay these letters the rest of the way in place and show you what my next step is. I've got my letters pretty well laid out. I'm going to come in now with this Dollar Tree adhesive eraser, this Crafter Square eraser. Make sure that I've cleaned off any of my lines that I sketched on. Anywhere I might have smudged, this can sometimes help clean up. So once you get that all nice and clean, so you're not smearing anything any further, I'm coming in with just a popsicle stick and really pushing those letters down, especially places where I erased between and kind of got them peeling up. Get it nice and flush. And there we go. That's pretty much to the point that now we're going to go ahead in with the paints. I did want to show this little tool. Dollar Tree has their crafter knife little tool kit. It's got this flat one in there that is absolutely awesome when you're messing with these poster board stickers. If you get one out of place, just sliding under there without pulling that sticker up and getting creases in your sticker. So that's a really helpful little Dollar Tree gadget. Doing these letter signs. So I've got my enamel paint, I've got my sponge, I've got my little palette here. This is where I'm just taking it up one more step from the last one and showing you this technique to keep in mind. It doesn't just work on foam core, but you can apply this to plenty of other crafts. So we're going to basically do the same thing. I'm going to come in here and using kind of this sponge shape itself, let it work for me here. We want the edges done too, just like we did on the previous one. And I'm not really putting any rhyme or reason. If you want to do your edges first and just see anywhere that it overlaps, that can give you kind of a good viewpoint. You can see it does a little of that naturally. So I'm just letting my sponge and my paint do the work. The cool thing is that this has that little bit of sheen to it. Since our piece is really flat, there is a little bit of light bouncing off using this enamel paint, but you could do it with black paint. Now, you see I'm using paint on this and I'm not mixing the wax in. One, this has a sheen to it, so it's almost like it has kind of that barrier built in the same way that wax paint does. Two, we are not using very much. The more coverage you put on here, the more complicated the paint application can be, and the more you get your curling and your warping. So you can just see that I'm just working this down through. I would continue to do that all the way around this piece. I'm also going to do it. I need a little more paint. So I wanted to point out something really quick. While I'm holding this up here kind of awkwardly for you guys to be able to see, I realized that I kind of like the results better because I tend to be a little bit shaky sometimes. So between balancing this arm up in a weird position and this arm up in a weird position, my designs around the edge are way more uneven. And I'm almost preferring that wobbly result. So my next little step on this is just going to be to do the same thing we did with the marker. I'm going to tap some paint on here. We're going to come in and make some of these chipped areas. None of this is new. I'm just trying to get you to think of this in the foam core avenue, in whipping together quick signs. If you need fillers for like a gallery wall, I think this would be really fun. And I'm just dabbing. I'm using kind of the corner and touching it down and letting it do what it does. The same way with using the wedge portion of the marker. So you can take that as far as you really want to. I wanted to show one more thing on this particular design if you're interested in doing this one. It is a duplicate of something that I saw on Pinterest, but to kick it up even one more, I wanted to show you this idea. Once again, if you wanted to add something like this. Now, I'm not going to add this right now, but I did grab a couple little short kind of black strips of paper to show you the idea of adding a little more using your washi tape. You could come in, do some cute little striping like this, do it at top and bottom like this. I still have that option. I may still consider it once my paint dries, but I wanted to get you here to this process, get you to this paint technique, and give you one more idea of just wording that you can whip together. I think this will be really fun on a gallery wall for something like spring, which is coming up. And that's likely what this piece is going to be for me, and most of the pieces that you see coming up. I want to do a big spring gallery wall. So these will be fun filler pieces for that, even if just for the spring season. And there you go. There is another finished sign using a similar idea, different materials, getting the different effect from those materials. And now I'm ready to show you another one. So here's the stuff for my next one that I'm going to jump into. And you can kind of see still similar stuff. I've got a scrap here now that it's about 8.5 by 12. I've got my poster board alpha stickers from Dollar Tree. Now I've got some rub-ons from Dollar Tree. Got my wax paper to help. I've got just a circle shape to trace out. And I have my enamel paint, but if you want to do this one in marker too, whichever way, that works. I want to go ahead and show a couple of things. So the first thing that I want to show is adding some detail to just a plain little scrap, just by coming in. I'm going to come over here and at about probably, let's say 2 inches by 1.5 inches. I think that should give me a nice curve on a piece this size. Same thing here. And I still can always trim this down, but I want to give you the kind of idea of doing this. So I'm doing that to each corner. I think, let me make sure that I've marked that correctly. We're going to erase these marks when we get ready to do our cleanup. So I've got everything marked. I'm going to come in with my little circle shape, line it up from mark to mark, mark to mark, all the way around. I'm going to do this. And hit all 4 corners. I'm just going to come in and kind of cut this freehand now. So I want to start my blade up here like I do with everything else. And I'm just going to swoop in. And do that with all 4 of these corners. So now I've got this interesting little shape other than just a plain rectangle going on. You can kind of see what that does. You can make it go as far in as you want. If you end up where you swoop in too far, you can always come in and, for instance, trim this down. And I'll show you what I mean. Let's see. Gonna mark from there. And the same thing over here. And I can trim that down if I want kind of shallower corners there. You can see the two differences. And this is just giving you ideas on dressing up a smaller scrap piece to do a sign. That's kind of where I'm at now. So I'm going to go ahead and pull off some lettering. So here are my letters. Here is how I have mine mapped out. I've used some of the rub-ons and I've used some of the poster board stickers. I've gone in and kind of sketched out here with the bottom getting an alignment here and here so that I can pop my stickers down pretty evenly. I'm going to come over and I'm going to mark the center so I know where to start. And I know my middle area is roughly about here. So I'm going to start with this E. Get that all nice and lined up. This wax paper makes this so much simpler. So I'm just going to continue to get my word open applied. I've got my word open in place, and now I'm going to come in with these rub-ons, and I am trying to align the shadow portion of that rub-on right on top of there. And I'm using a popsicle stick, so hopefully I won't gouge too much. And you're just going to continue to rub this and kind of transfer that on. Let's see where I stand so far. If I can get it lifted up here. There you go. And now it's like a print. You can see it's got that little backer paper. It's better if you keep that on there and cut that entire piece loose. Otherwise, your rub-on will come off on your hands or somewhere else on your piece. So I think I can get a couple of letters in place at once. So I'm going to continue to apply these. I'm going to come in now with my eraser, get off any of my lines here. You can see how nice that looks. If your sticker part is having any problems, you can use a popsicle stick and smooth that down. I'm going to take the fast, easy route on this. Either which way you could do the paint. It just happens to be a little messier at the moment. I can still come back in over this with my paint. So I'm just taking my Dollar Tree black furniture marker and hitting all of these edges. Now I've got a little fun detail to my edge. Imagine putting this on like a faux wood background. If you have a piece that you're wanting something to pop. So I think that would be nice. I've got my edges done. Now I'm just going to do like I've done earlier and just come in, use kind of this beveled tip to really work for me to get a chipped look. I'm just dragging it around in a few places. So now we have that. On a wood background or a faux wood background, this would be super cute. I want to show the idea of maybe putting it on a black background and framing it out with a faux wood trim. I wanted to remind you that you can always use your black washi tape. Now, this is not washi tape in my hands, it's just paper. That way I could move it around really easily without it sticking. But I wanted to show you that you could always come in with your washi tape and apply it across there, add some more detail. It's just taking your imagination a little bit further, getting rid of some of these smaller pieces that we have like that with nothing more than a couple of packs of stickers and a little bit of creativity. This is such an easy, cute piece. I think the other ones really were too. So many uses. You could add a chain to this and hang it down. You could add a beaded chain to it and hang it. So many different options. These are really good pieces to hang off some of your other foam core creations, whether it be some of the hook pieces. But that's the first set that I've got for you, and I've got so many more of these, and really they're all based on the fact that I have this scrap in front of me and I've come up with ideas of what I could do with it at the size that it is, and with ideas that I have right on hand without any machines or anything extra. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I can't wait to do more of them, and I hope you get a chance to do a little crafting.